Craft Brews and Casual Conversations. Joined with us is the author that keeps on authoring. He's got 5 books now in the world. They exist. You can put them out into your bookshelf. You can read them. You can buy them for a friend who needs a good book. Rob Weldon is here, and he is large and in charge.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're back. So we were just talking, it's been a long day of football, a long day of losses. So as a result, I'll dive into my drink real quick. So mine's straight out of the fancy meeting you hear line. It is a delicious blackberry flavored natural water, courtesy of Bubbly.
Oh,
that's my delicious beverage.
Was not expecting you to say that.
0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 protein. I'll tell you what I drank earlier, though. I drank from Lion's Tail Brewing Company in Wisconsin. So, Rob, the next time if you're ever in Wisconsin, you should definitely go to Lion's Tail. It's a beautiful place. I drank the Pucker Patch Slushee, and it is exactly what you think it is. A slushy-style beer brewed with massive amounts of real fruits: orange, cherry, raspberry, lemon, lime, candy fruit flavor with a tart citric finish. It is like melting Sour Patch Kids and drinking it. Very thick, very tart, pure sugar, baby. And it got me some adrenaline. It was it was pink. It was sweet. I really only got the raspberry. I didn't get a ton of citrus, unfortunately, which is, maybe a little raspberry and a little lemon at the end, but mostly just nothing but melted sugar. That's what I got.
Yeah, in the marketing department, that they one of the ideas that was shot down was a toothbrush that you can stir the beverage with. It's like out here, I don't know that I've had a quote unquote slushy beer, but we'll have smoothie beers, which is basically the same thing,
right?
And the lipids will just float at the top, and you want to stir it up, but you also don't want to ruin all that carbonation. So it can be frustrating at times.
Yeah.
But if you care, I can tell you what my beer is.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, as I'd mentioned before on previous episodes, I work in a bar called Tony's Darts Away, which is about a half a mile from where your Rob lives.
That's me.
And we put on this new brewery. I mean, it's not a new brewery. They're up by the Bay Area, but they just got distribution in SoCal. So this is the first time we've had the opportunity to put them on. It's called Ghost Town Brewing, and we currently have on Wretched from them, which is a hazy IPA, and what the heck is the name of the other one? No, I'm blanking on. Doesn't matter. But Inhume. Thank you. Inhume, and they got really cool logos. But this one we do not have on. I don't even know if we have this in back. But it's called Nose Goblin. It's an Imperial IPA. And 100 IBUs, 9.2% alcohol, with Nelson, Strata, and Mosaic hops, 3 of my favorite hops in the world, and I have not even tasted it until this exact moment. Here we go.
All right.
What do you have in there, Robbie?
So I went with the Cellarmaker Brewing Company's Distorted Bliss. It's a California Pilsner, 5.5% alcohol by volume. Nothing on the IBUs. I picked this specifically because it's hopped with Strata, Mosaic, and Talus, which I don't recall ever having Talus hops, but I do like Strata and Mosaic. So that was the reason I picked it. Let's take a drink.
Take that drink.
Cheers.
Delicious. I wish I could enjoy it better. I could really have a beer if I wanted to, but I had an old fashioned, and I drank some beers during the game, and I'm like, I'm not about to dive
and it's
down.
Sunday night.
Right. I got to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today's been a big Pilsner day for me. I was doing Timbo during the game. Timbo, and that's
Highland Park.
It's a great beer if you ever get a chance.
Awesome.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. We can. So, Rob, you have Rob Weldon. So, once again, we are stuck in that crazy situation where there's 2 of you, Rob Weldon and Burbank Bob. But,
or some people call him Rob number 2. I don't like that name.
Yeah.
There's R2.
I say Robbie because I'm older than he is, so I feel like that's that's more natural. It flows.
Yeah,
When he says it, makes me feel my childlike wonder flow out of me. So,
well, you have a new book, the fifth book. That's
Yeah, book number 5. It's Wide-Eyed Wyatt's Liquid Nap.
we should plug the other 3 because there's been 3 releases since we.
I'll start from scratch. Book number 1 was Consumia's Spiritual Emporium. I say Consumia all the time because I'm a horrible white person that doesn't know Spanish. And I made up the name, and yet I don't say it right. But my narrator, there is going to be an audiobook of book 1 out sometime next month. She says Consumia. She looked it up and looked up the Latin roots and et cetera. And she's like, this is how your people would say it. And I'm like, I'm going with her on this. And book 2 is mostly human, mostly cat. We talked about that last time on the episode. Was it March-ish, February? And book 3, The Omnist and the Cosmic Egg. Book 4, The Patina of Dorothy Grant. And that's actually sort of loosely based on Oscar Wilde's picture of Dorian Gray. But it's taking place now with a female instead of a male. And it's her social media that ages and takes on her sins instead of a painting in the attic. And I think that's a far scarier thing for a social media influencer. And then now this newest book, Wide-Eyed Wyatt's Liquid Nap. And I know it sounds like a strange name, but that is a coffee drink that exists in the universe of the books. The catchphrase is better than a nap. It's a 4-shot espresso drink.
Nice.
So I think that,
awesome.
That's
so
the
you're I did see that you are going to get an audiobook release as well. And I had an idea for it. I was wondering, with my great reading abilities and reading skill, I was like, maybe I could read it, but instead, like, we don't edit it. It's just every time I mess up, it just keeps going. This is a real reading. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be like,
where did you get that idea from? A podcast, maybe?
I don't know.
A lifetime of misreading labels and copy.
And Burbank Bob.
Yeah, well, I'm the one that reads most of the time, and I'm pretty bad at it. But yeah, I just think like people, they'll be like, okay, they'll be like, this person reads so great, so eloquently, and it's like, this person's more like me, and says fuck every once in a while because they mess up.
Yeah, I'm using her name is Carrie Bertrand. I used to work with her in radio in Detroit, so she's got a much better voice than I do. And trust me, you would rather hear her say it than me. So I'm very excited. I've heard individual chapters in different spots. She had questions for me about certain things. So, we've had some back and forth with it. But I'm really looking forward to her getting into the post-production, which she's doing now, and hearing it as a piece. I made this joke with Rob earlier that when the first book came out, I said, I'm a real boy. Hey, I exist.
Right.
And then my website, theomnist.com and robweldon.com, just sends you to theomnist.com anyway. That launched 2 weeks ago. And same thing. It's almost like I'm a real boy. And then I think when the audio comes out, I'm going to have that same feeling again. With
audio, I've listened to a few books, some audiobooks where I read the book, just reading it, regular style. And then I went back and listened to the audiobook. Specifically, I read one of the Dexter books, and then I listened to the audio in which the author did read the story. And a weird thing for me was like, this is not how I pictured Dexter would be going through life. Do you kind of have that when you listen, like when you've listened to some of these drafts?
To an extent, a good example was I have always said Consumia, says Consumia. She goes, do you want me to change it? And I said no, because I think that whenever you release a piece of art, it changes depending on who's interpreting it.
Yeah.
And I can't control how people interpret it. That's not my job. My job is to get it out there as close to the way I interpret it as possible. And then if I connect with people and the communication is made, great. But if not, that's not on my end. If you do have to know your audience, but if you're writing to people who really, really aren't you, something's going to either get lost in translation or you're going to seem fake. So when people are placating to the masses, so to speak, you can tell that's not really them. They're just going lowest common denominator, and that's uninteresting to me. I get way more of a charge from reading Neil Gaiman or David Foster Wallace or Terry Pratchett or Jonathan Lethem, who, by the way, I'm looking forward to theoretically meeting on the 2nd, because he's doing a little in-store about a mile from my place in Silver Lake, and I'm really excited that I think I'm going to get to meet him. I hope I'm even saying his name right. I've heard that people say Lethem or Lethem. Anyway, but he's one of those people. But yeah, and Mark Danielewski having that connection with writers like that felt so much better to me, because I didn't feel like they're just trying to write to everybody. Like they're writing for people they hope are like them, and that's what I'm trying to do when I'm writing. I'm just trying to find people who think like I do, that want to read the kind of stuff that I want to write.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have, so wasn't it? It was 7 of the on this series. 8.
Very
okay.
closely. Yeah. The reason 7 stuck in your head, and this is very good of you to remember that. That's amazing. Was that I wrote 7 sequels in 7 months after I had written the first one.
Okay.
So the 7 is drilled into your brain. That makes sense.
And then the way you're just because a lot of them are drafted, written, and you keep going. They're coming out now, kind of in rapid succession. What's the next plan? Are we children's books?
No, no, but they are slowing down though. I believe it was 11 weeks between book 1 and 2, and then it was like 14 weeks, and then 15 weeks, and I think this last one was 17 weeks from book 4 to 5. The next one very well maybe 6 months. It's taking longer and longer. I'm doing many more things now, marketing and ad buys and lodges. I have my 3rd lodge coming up. And they take so much time, and it's and now audio stuff. So just my conversation is splitting amongst so many people that I don't have as much time to do the conversation of a book as I used to.
Do you step out of the shower? Do you step out of the shower? Do you step out of the shower and just look at yourself in the mirror and go, "God damn it, you did it." We're in this shit right now. We're doing it.
From now on, I hope.
No, yeah. Why? To distance? Why? No, I really don't. Some people in Burbank Bob here knows that I have to keep calling him that now. I want to call him Robbie. But some people said, like, you must be so proud. And no, there's exactly no pride in this. Pride is the wrong word. When I hear pride, I think of people who have never left their state saying, I live in the best state in the U.S. or the best country in the world. I'm like, but you've never been anywhere. You don't know. That's just willful ignorance. And that, to me, I don't like the word pride. But when people say, do you feel accomplished? Yes, I absolutely feel accomplished, because I set goals and most of them I'm achieving. I mean, I can't control how many people buy the books and give me money to doing this, but as long as I can afford to keep doing this, I'm going to keep doing it.
How does that feel? Accomplishment. How do you feel accomplished?
Hard-hitting questions from Drew. How does that feel? How does it make you feel?
I mean,
I don't know.
People say I've accomplished things. I just don't know that. I don't know how that feels like.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. How many podcasts have you done now?
Wow, I mean, this is the longest one.
I'm asking you a direct question, Drew. I'm asking you a direct question. How many podcasts have you done?
As far as, like, what do you mean? Like shows or episodes?
Episodes of this particular
286, right? We're at 286.
We're at like 290 something. Yeah.
I'm at 230 or
sure. So, yeah, 300 is a nice round number.
How do you feel?
How do you feel? I mean, that's a huge commitment. You've been doing this for several years. That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you get out of the shower and look at your boner and go, I did it?
I actually step out of the shower and I look at myself in the mirror, and the boner goes away. It retracts into my body so high up that some people mistake it for an Adam's apple.
Oh, nice.
It's called an inner.
Two Adam's apples.
Yeah, it's no, I don't know. I don't know that I feel accomplished with this. We've talked to some cool people, yourself included, and I feel like that's a pretty sweet thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've made.
I guess I'm just saying that when people ask me that, I feel just as uncomfortable answering it as you do. My point.
I think we keep that train rolling, because another bit, like we touched on the lodges before, and I do want to talk about this because that's one of the bigger, almost
everything's changed
in my head, almost a bigger accomplishment than I can't say writing the book, but is he's created the world that's in the book in reality out here. And how do you feel about what you've done?
It's crazy. You know,
should explain.
Yeah. In the Omnist book series, events at the Emporium are called lodges, and that's basically where everybody congregates, and they might listen to an omniscient, encourage you to worship the goddess sleep or the goddess of FOMO or whatever. It's all dark comedy, but you know, there are lots of beliefs that people really, really believe in, and there are lots of things that people don't believe in. And the point is getting people together that have different personal God packages. That's what the Omnist recommends you, which gods you should worship based on your character profile and whatever. So every single person that comes into the Emporium has a different religion because they have different gods being listed, et cetera, et cetera. So the lodge is a place where everybody can get together, and you have to accept everybody. As long as there's no hate speech, there's no hating other groups or peoples, you have to accept them no matter how crazy that idea could be. Flying spaghetti monster stuff, if you want to go Pastafarian. But I was asked by the Crooked Path, which is an apothecary.
Yes,
I said it right. I never say that word right.
In a apothecary.
But it's in Burbank, and they're amazing people. Saul and Popey are the owners, and they asked me if I wanted to do an in-store. And when you're a nobody like I am, you say yes automatically. You don't even question and go, oh my God, thank you. You know, absolutely, I'll do an in-store. And then I realized that I work in a bar, and people order my book on Amazon, or they buy it at the Crooked Path. They just walk right over to Tony's and they hand me the book and I sign it. Like, who's going to come to my in-store if they already have access to me anytime?
Right.
Because they know how to find me. So in this case, as I'm getting closer and closer to the date in March, and we had the podcast, I don't even think I decided it was a lodge yet when you and
I don't think so, no.
I realized that it has to be a lodge. It's not an in-store signing. I'm going to have free tarot. And this wonderful woman, Christy Edwards, she has a site called Halloween Horror Haiku, and she writes spooky haiku, and it's amazing. And she posts it on social media and whatever. She wrote a bunch of haiku inspired by the book series.
Mm-hmm.
So I had her speaking about that. And of course, I still signed books, and I took photos of people, and I read passages from, at the time, the first 3 books. But I had an omniscient. I don't know if you know, there's a guy named Burbank Bob. I didn't call him that, but he did a piece on Litany.
Yeah.
He spoke at the lodge, and it was amazing. And people, okay, so I'm sorry to be going on and on about this, but it's crazy because I told myself that if 12 to 15 people showed up, I would be happy, because that would mean I didn't waste my time setting all this up. And I got enough text messages and social media inquiries like throughout the day of, that I'm like, you know what, this might be like 20, 25 people. This is going from bare minimum to I'm going to have a really good time. Like, now the pressure's gone. We're pouring ourselves wine and champagne, and just, it was super fun. And when it actually all came down, it was like 45 people.
That's awesome.
And this cramped into this room, and it was hot and stuffy, and Rob did his piece, and people loved it. Like, I don't think you understand just how supportive this group of people is. People are cheering for him and whatever. And Amy Lyford did a piece on surrealist sexualities. She's the dean of art history at Phoenix College, and she wrote a book on surrealist sexualities. And what a perfect thing to do in the political climate we're in right now. Like, accept people. It's okay. So it was fantastic. So we did another lodge in June. And once again, had free tarot. Once again, had Chrissy reading haiku. And I read from a few more books. But this time, the other 2 omniscients were my daughter,
Awesome.
Azul, who is majoring in biology and ecology at Cal Poly. And so she studies life and death and how things cycle back into the earth. And her whole point was, why do we want to keep things from dying and going away and becoming part of the earth again? We put formaldehyde in bodies. We turn them into ashes and save the ashes. We put butterflies in shadow boxes. We put insects in amber. We put snakes and reptiles in alcohol bottles. Like, what's this fascination we have in it? And it fits perfectly into this universe. And then Eileen McConnell did a piece on the spirituality of bathrooms to take it even deeper into the dark comedy realm of this whole universe. And she was hysterical. I mean, probably the funniest thing that we had, in the two lodges. And, the spirituality of bathrooms, you think about it, the great thinking you've done in the shower. Speaking of showers, you guys.
Oh, the toilet's my favorite place to think.
Toilets. Or at the club about people you just met or the people you came with.
Glory holes.
Revelation happen in there.
It's a great unifier. It's the one thing everybody's
got to do it. And so that was awesome. But this time, one of the owners had popped her head up into the lodge and she saw how packed it was and how crowded. And again, it was like 45, 50 people. We need to be in a better spot than this. And she recognized that. And after it was over, she went downstairs and goes, hey, by the way, we have this other classroom. And she opens it up and it's twice as big.
Oh, wow.
And it's gorgeous. It's basically like an actor's studio. Burbank's got a lot of that stuff. So you can have your next lodge there. So the next lodge is going to be Lodge 3, Lodge the 3rd, October 14th. And now the Omniscients have stepped up yet another notch. One of them, Jane Asher, she does a podcast called The Next Room, based on her book called The Next Room, where she co-wrote that book with her mom communicating in the afterlife. So her mom co-wrote the book after she died. And what a wonderful person to have on, as an omniscient talking about communication with the dead. And another, William Shunn, he's actually a Nebula and Hugo nominated writer. And as you know, in the science fiction world, that's huge. That's like an actor being nominated for an Emmy or something. Mm-hmm. So he's flying in from Denver to do this. Nice. Jane's, by the way, driving up from San Diego. And then the third one is going to be Burton C. Bell. And I know him from the band Fear Factory. I have a gold record of Fear Factories on the wall of my place at home. And he's written for the Pantera graphic novel. He's writing a piece for the Slipknot upcoming graphic novel. He has a collection of photography that's already been published. So again, another wonderful omniscient. I have these three omniscients that, in my opinion, are way further up the food chain than I am. But they're coming. I feel like this is becoming this attraction. Like it's attracting other like-minded people, and we can all talk about writing and talk about just oddball theories about things and not take things too seriously. It's a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of laughter and people hug and I don't know, just wonderful.
I can say from being somebody that from the perspective of somebody who spoke at one and who's been to one as an observer, it is just like he's building a community mm-hmm. of people that it is all positive support for and that's the idea in the book of what the Emporium is, and the idea of having gods for everything is you get what you need from people around you, and the fact that he's creating a reality out of something that he created in wild. Fiction. To me, that like I said, I don't know if you can call that a bigger accomplishment than writing the fiction to begin with, but that seems like to make it bleed over into reality in the three-dimensional world.
Yeah. I mean, because you're getting all these creative people who are like...
Just sit up, Rob. We're going to talk about you. Don't you?
I'll pretend I'm not here.
No, it's awesome. That's a pretty wild thing. I would kill to see one. I would kill to go to one. Maybe someday.
In time, there'll be some more, some way to get it out to people.
Tour.
Because it is really...
You should record some stuff and then you play it on your podcast,
because it's an amazing feeling. I went after to sit down and write for the first one. What I had to go up and speak as was very inspiring for me because it gave me this deadline. It gave me this thing I had to do. And then to watch the second one, it was after watching The Lodge. I sat down and wrote this whole thing. There's so much inspiration in the room. There's so much energy in the room. And it is this, it's just a really cool thing that happens outside the books, but it's also connected to the books. And I don't know of anybody else that's doing that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, you know, right now, you know, the two scary letters in the world are A and I. And I don't see AI actually getting people together to be human in a room of humans. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
AI can steal our art and they can steal our writing and they can steal our jobs, but at the end of the day, if we want to get together and hang out, we're the ones getting together and hanging out. Like I'm not hanging out with a projection.
yeah, they can't steal our connection.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Maybe one day you'll take it on the road. The big
I would love to.
the lodge tour.
Yeah. I would absolutely do that.
I mean, honestly, it's something that's grown every single time. So, and I don't think there's a cap on it. And anybody that's experienced it has. I do think it's something that actually changes you cathartically. It's for me, it was, and for a lot of people I talked to, it was. So
I mean, it's kind of trying to think of a bite-sized way of like presenting this to people, but it's like an artist commune, but it's a happy hour.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's really short. Like we're not asking anybody for anything. I don't make people sign up for lists. There's no cover. There's no donations asked for. It's literally just come and hang out, listen to people talk, meet some really cool people, and bond. You know, that's really all it is.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an awesome thing. So that's happening in October. Let's
October 14th.
October 14th. Yeah. Let's real quick talk about the book a little bit, the new book. Give us a brief synopsis. How does this tie in to the series?
Yeah, this. So the first book was 2 POVs, and since then all of the sequels are 3 POVs. I feel like I can triangulate the truth of the book of each story better that way. And in this time, this is the first time I've done a POV from a god's point of view. Nice. I guess that's redundant. But it's the first time I've done a god's POV, and the omniscient for that god, and that god is the god of sleep. So I deal with the omniscient for the god of sleep, and then I also deal with a consummarian who works at a coffee roaster. Now, the god of sleep's not going to like caffeine very much, as you can imagine. And so it turns out that this god of sleep, these 2 people figure out that the god's trying to kill him, and why and how do they fix it. And so Wide-Eyed Wyatt's Liquid Nap is a product of Wide-Eyed Wyatt. That's the coffee company, and it's a 4-shot espresso drink. And they're drinking that at a certain point in the book to try to not fall asleep, so they can figure out, how do we defeat this? How do we not die?
That's awesome. So at the next lodge, you could have the drink.
Yes. So I've been looking for.
You don't even know how much I've heard about this.
Yeah, he's heard a ton about this. So I am selling coffee mugs at the next lodge. I've never done that before.
That's awesome.
I've never actually sold T-shirts at a lodge. I am doing that this time. But I have sold T-shirts in the past, just not at the lodges.
Right.
And I have stickers printed. I think they might be at my place by tomorrow. But I would love if I could find a local coffee roaster here that sells cold brew in bottles. I would love to slap these on there and give them to people at the lodge and say, hey, thank you for coming.
Yeah, that's
awesome. I haven't been able to find that yet.
Well, yeah, dude, it's sweet that this is happening and you're doing like all this creative stuff. You're getting creative people together. People are giving, presentations based off their perspective of what they are reading, created by you. A fictional world.
What's funny, what's interesting is that with the exception of the haiku, all of the presentations, all of the omniscients did pieces that weren't directly tied to the books. They're just loosely
right.
It's something somebody in the book would talk about.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's so every piece so far has not been about the books, which is what I want anyway, because I can read about the book.
Right.
And I think one of the cool things is that everybody that's done it so far had a different interpretation of what an omniscient would do for a lodge. Because some people did comedy, some people did a straight
history piece.
Piece.
Yeah.
Me, I know I was trying to preach a god to the people in the room, as if they should hey, come and follow this. But everybody took their own interpretation of what an omniscient is, and it's really cool to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I'm dying to know what Williams. Sean, I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to give away too much about what William's going to talk about, but he mentioned something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you nailed exactly the theme. Like thank God he has actually read the first 4 books, and he actually just posted on social media. He just got the new one as well. But I cannot wait for him to present this. Like it's going to be awesome. I'll tell you off the interview what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't want to spoil anything for him.
Where are we at on time?
We got like 4.5 minutes. If I were to be one, I would say I worship the god of self-loathing and self-deprecation for positive results, though, because every time I tell myself I can't do something, I'm a fucking loser, I'm a failure, I'm a piece of shit, I'm never gonna have this, and this. I do it, damn it, I do it.
See, but I want to hear
love. So it's tough love.
I legit want to hear that presentation.
That would be fun. Especially if you're as exuberant about it as you are right now. That's the whole point.
So if we have 4 minutes roughly, I want to ask Rob to put out there where our listeners can send him any ideas they have, or say, hey, this is I'm an expert in this.
Oh, good idea.
Maybe they want to be an omniscient down the road and a route.
Well, if you want to learn more about the books and about the lodges, you can go to theomnist.com. Literally just theomnist.com. But if you want to hit me a little bit quicker, it does have an email fill-in form there. But honestly, I'm going to see things a lot faster. Also, if you hit me up on Instagram. Obviously Rob Weldon at Instagram. You'll see it. I'm listed as Blood Wren, which is technically an anagram of my own name, but I'm probably the first Rob Weldon that pops up. I am for everybody that's ever looked. Mm-hmm. And you can hit me up there, and I'm checking that like several times a day.
Pick up the books, read them. If you are in the Burbank area, make sure you are getting to these lodges because they sound absolutely amazing, and they are absolutely amazing. Not only do they sound amazing, they are amazing. God damn it. Wide-Eyed Wyatt's Liquid Nap up for grabs right now. Follow Rob and just make sure he becomes a millionaire in the next 3 years, please.
I do want to hear. I would love to hear that some of our listeners reach out because this is a really good series, and if you've been listening to us this long, go read this series because it's really good, and if you like us, you'll like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick then, so the beers, how were they? How was the Nose Goblin from Ghost Town Brewing?
It was fantastic.
Think? It sounds good.
Yeah, what's funny is that I'm a little burnt out on Imperial IPAs generally. But it's not too sweet, and that's one of my big problems with it. This one is great and wonderful hops. I love Nelson, I love Strata, and I love Mosaic, and they nailed it. I have no complaints.
Awesome. Rob, how was Distorted Bliss?
It was distorted and blissful. Very good. I think I do like these tailless hops. I have to assume that it's got almost like a little bit of a spice kick to it. It's not spicy, but it has that mouthfeel. Mm-hmm. And have to assume that that's what it is because I know Strata and Mosaic hops, and that's not a taste that I get from those. But no, the flavor stays around for the perfect amount of time. It's good it's just a good beer.
Awesome. I had a Lion's Tail Pucker Patch Slushee earlier in the day. I would drink it again. Only one at a time though. You can't have more than one of those, otherwise you're gonna get diabetes. So, Rob, thank you so much for hopping back on. We'll tag you in all the stuff, and we look forward to the next time we can talk.
Drew, you're the best. Thank you so much, man.
You are the best.
I can't wait to meet you when next time I'm back in the Midwest.
Yeah, you got to get out here.
And you got to get out here too.
Working on it.